नमो नमो गुरुदेव को, नमो कबीर सखपाल, नमो संत शरणागति, सकल पाप भय छाल। सतगुरु को कीजे बंदगी, कोटि कोटि प्रणाम। कीटन जाने भृंग को, गुरु कर ले आप समान।
I'd like to thank all of you for being here to usher in this new year with us. This is the Kabir Association of Kianda Center, and we are a non-profit organization, and we do hold satsangs and other important occasions. And as mentioned earlier, we have this calendar. Anybody would like to have it, let me know and I'll arrange for you to have it. Let us think about an imaginary conversation between the soul and God. The soul says, I am in the world, dear God, but I feel lost. And God says, but you are in my world. Then the soul says, how come I do not see you then? Then God answers, you cannot see me because you are looking outside. I am in you. And the soul says, how am I to find you? My senses can perceive only outside. God said, to find me, you do not need your senses. Soul says, then tell me, what do I need to do to find you? God tells him, put all your senses to rest and go into deep silence. Soul, how can silence help me to find you? Then God, silence is my language and spirit is my being. The soul, how will I know that I have found you? God, you are spirit and I am spirit. You will know me when you experience that you are the spirit. Then you will see that we are one. The soul, will that take away my feeling that I am lost in the world? God, certainly. You see, I am not lost. I am everywhere. You feel lost when you are busy in worldly pursuits only. Know me, and we will always be together. So, that is the soul talking to God, and we are the souls. Are we lost? We just heard a bhajan. Rahana nahi desh virana hai. That's Kabir Saheb's bhajan. We cannot stay here permanently. We have to leave. In one of his bhajans, Sadhguru Kabir says, Amar lok se aaye bande, fir Amarpur jana hai. We have come from the eternal. We have to go back there. So what are we doing? How do we go there? Do we know the way? I think if we examine our own lives, we will see that we really don't know the way. How do we get to God? Is there a path? Is there a map? Is there a written direction? We don't find that anywhere. There are a lot of scriptures in the world. They all explain a lot of great things, and they teach you how to live. But if you do not live the principles, if you do not live the teachings, how are you going to go to God? Do we have to go to God? I think when we examine ourselves, we will find that there is some kind of an inner longing to understand, as we heard before, why am I here or who am I? What are we doing in this world? Did God have a plan to make conscious beings like us, put us in the world, and then there's so much suffering in the world? Is that what God wanted? I think we have to examine what is this life and where are we headed? Right now in the world, as you are aware, there's a lot of violence. Hundreds of people are dying every day, caused by human beings against other human beings. Did God teach us that is the way we should be? There are so many other criminal activities in this world. Is that what God's plan is? So where did this negative behavior come from? Are we not capable as intelligent human beings, given consciousness, given a mind, given a discriminative ability to know good from bad? And we all want the good and we don't want the bad, and yet there's a bad things happening everywhere? What's the root of it all? It is because we do not know ourselves, and we do not see ourselves in others, and we do not see others in ourselves. We do not see all of us in God and God in us. We don't see the unity. We see disparity. We see disunity. We see differences. But God didn't want us to see the differences only. He wanted us to see the unity that we are. Are we this body? We all seem to think we are this body. And somewhere intellectually we say, oh, we are the soul. But the soul doesn't have any meaning for us because we cannot live according to the requirements of the soul. We're living according to the requirements of the body and the desires and the passions, and we are missing the real essence of life. That is why Kabir Saheb told us, Rahana nahi hai des virana hai. We can't stay here. So if we think of with this body, what happens after our lifetime? The body disintegrates. It becomes ashes. It be buried in the soil, eaten by worms. Is that what we intended to be? Certainly not. God is eternal being. And God has put Himself in us. Tame jiv brahm aur maya samrat aisa khel banaya. This creation is like a play to God. And tame jiv brahm aur maya, He put the soul. God is Himself in the world. He is sarva vyapak. God is omnipresent. He is in this world right now. If God were not in this world, nobody would be here. God is consciousness. We are conscious beings. God is a living spirit. We are living beings. God is in every particle of this universe. If that were not so, then all the religions teaching that God is omnipresent will be false. God cannot be omnipresent if He is not in omni, everything. Omni means all. If God is not in everything, then where is God? And sometimes we think God is in a certain place, a heaven, and then nobody knows where that heaven is. So Kabir Saheb states, चलो चलो सब कोई कहे मोही अंदेशा और साहेब से परिचय नहीं जाओगे किस ठावर. Everybody want to go to God. Everybody want to go to heaven. But Kabir Saheb, seeing this, the nature of the people and what they are doing, said, I really am concerned. They don't know where God is, but they want to go to God. If you don't know where a city is and you want to go there, how are you going to get there? So perhaps you need a captain, you need a pilot. So Kabir Saheb tells us that we need to have that teacher in life. He used the word kewat, the boatman. If you do not know how to cross the ocean, you need the pilot, the boatman, who knows to navigate the waters. This is called Bhausagar. Sagar is an ocean. Ocean of coming and going, rebirth, reincarnation. And we are on that cycle. We are born, we live, we suffer, we die. And if our karmas are not perfected, we keep coming back on this cycle. We can't get off. The only way we can get off this cycle of birth and death and birth and death is to become eternal. And how do we become eternal? We are already eternal. We just have to know that. And do not say, I am the body. Say, I am the soul. If we can identify with the soul, and not only to say it, but to go in that deep silence as I read, in your meditation, go into that silence. Let God speak to you internally, because God's language is that silence. And He will speak to you internally, and you will awaken to that knowledge of God and to your knowledge of yourself. When you have arrived at that level, at that destination, you have no fear, no doubt. You have no enmity. You have peace and you have bliss and you have universal love. Prem prem sab koi kahe prem na jane koi. Dhai yakar prem ka padhe so pandit hoi. Pandit means a scholar. How can you be a scholar by just knowing the books? Pothi par par jagmua. Pandit bhaya na koi. You can read all the scriptures in the world. You cannot really become learned in the spiritual sense. To be learned in the spiritual sense, you have to know yourself. It's called Atma Gyan. If you do not have Atma Gyan, and you only have external knowledge, then you are in the world, in the materialism. But you're not only a material being, you are a spiritual being also. But we spend most of our time attending to only material needs and material things. And we say we own this and that belongs to me and everything. Kabir Saheb said, no, that's false. Mera mujh mein kuch nahi, jo kuch hai so tor. Tera tujhko saupde kya lagat hai mor. Everything belongs to God. We didn't bring anything in the world. And Kabir Saheb said, if we give up everything, there's no loss to us. So we must be like trustees. We use everything, but at the same time surrender. Tyag jo aise kijiye, sab kuch ek hi baar. Surrender everything in such a way that everything goes at one time. Now it doesn't mean you give up everything and you become a pauper. No, it's a mental orientation to this life. God, everything belongs to you. I will use whatever I need to use and I will surrender. I will help others. Bhookhe ko kachu dijiye, yatha shakti jo hoy. Give to the hungry, give to the needy according to your ability to do so. What else will go with us? Nothing. Muthi बांध के आए जगत में हाथ पसार के जाना है. Every baby comes into the world like this. I know that. I've delivered a lot of babies. They come like this. But I've also seen a lot of dead people, and they go like that. What do you take? Nothing. But in this life, because we have misguided understanding, we think we own this and that, and you're my relation, and that's my friend, and these sort of things. Kabir Saheb tells us, all of these relationships you have with people and with things, they're all in the end not going to help you. So have love, have compassion, have communion with everybody. He said to meet everybody cordially, friendly, be on friendly terms with everybody. But also understand spiritually that they don't belong to you. You have to leave them one day, or they will leave you. So practice detachment. Tyag. Tyag means to detach, to give up, surrender. Sab kuch hai kahin par. So mentally go through this life, surrendering to God. Surrender your life, surrender everything to God. And that is the way that each one of us can develop spiritually and become close to God to the extent that we can say, oh God, I feel you in my life. I know you in my life. I know you are with me. If we can do that, that's the pinnacle of our life. We all somehow pray, or we go to churches, to temples. They all have an ultimate purpose. It's called moksha, or mukti, or nirvana, or liberation. Religions teach us these things, but if we do not live the principles, then we are not going to get to that goal of liberation, of moksha. So with this new year now, we can make a good start. Set our minds straight to think on the proper things in life. Give value to those valuable things that we really need to make this life peaceful, happy, loving, generous, compassionate. If we cannot do that, then we are inviting trouble our own self. Kabir Saheb tells us, Karam gati tare nahi tare chahe lakh karo chaturai. No matter how cunning and smart you are, you cannot outsmart God. And God's law is karmic law. We cannot break that law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Everything we do in thought, word, and deed will be coming back to us in one way or another. So we can't escape. So Kabir Saheb's teaching is to improve your karma, purify your mind, purify your life. Because God is a pure being. If we're not pure, we cannot go to the purity of God. God wants purity. God wants love. God wants us to have knowledge. Knowledge sets you free. Ignorance gives you bondage. And we want freedom. We have to have that knowledge. That knowledge comes by applying ourselves in the proper direction. So, dear devotees and friends, I thank you for being here. And in this new year, I wish all of you blessings, long life, healthy life, lots of love for family and friends, and may blessings be with all of you. Thank you very much. Avinash will now have some chanting and music. Thank you.